Is my wife working?
Town clerk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready, so.
Oh, yes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our regular council meeting of January 24th, 2022. Call the meeting to order. Before we get the approval of the agenda, I'd like to add the following. That's the appointing of liaisons for committee members. That was, we discussed that there prior to the end of the year, and they asked us to bring it back into the new year. That's not on your agenda there, so if someone wants to make a motion to add the appointment of liaison. Moved by Councillor Seymour, seconded by Councillor Snow. Discussion. All in favour? Contrary minded, motion passed. Can we get the approval of the agenda of the January 24, 2023 regular council meeting? Moved by Councillor Noel, seconded by Councillor O'Grady. Discussion. All in favour? Contrary minded, motion passed. And can we get the adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting of January the 11th, 2023? Moved by Councillor Snow, seconded by Councillor Noel. Discussion. All in favour? Contrary minded, motion passed. Any business arising from the minutes? At this time as well, I meant to do it earlier, I'd like to give a shout out to the students of Carbonear Academy who are, some are watching this here tonight. Tomorrow is, Thursday, Friday is Family Literacy Day, and they invited the mayor in to read to their students and have discussed about heritage as well. So I'd like to thank those for the invitation and welcome online as well. Okay, no business arising. Move on to proclamations, presentations, delegations. We have one proclamation. Town of Carbonear Random Acts of Kindness Month Proclamation. Whereas the Town of Carbonear recognizes the value of acts of kindness performed without prompting, and how such acts positively impacts the person offering kindness, the person receiving kindness, and those who witnesses. And whereas during the pandemic, the need for neighbors to support one another, even when not meeting in person, was highlighted. Connection and support are important to every community, and encouraging everyone to choose to be kind and help lift the spirits of others is important, now more than ever. And whereas the month of February in 2023, the town of Carbonear will observe a monthly random act of kindness campaign to spread intentional acts of kindness throughout the town of Carbonear during the month of February. And whereas the goal is to cultivate the importance and practice of caring, kindness, and compassion in all aspects of our community, including workplaces and schools, and all areas of a community, and promote and encourage acts of kindness in our community. And whereas the town of Carbonear encourages residents to get involved, be especially kind to someone, send a message, or in some special way thank those around them that are positively impacting our community. Therefore, I, Frank Butt, Mayor of the town of Carbonear, do hereby proclaim the month of February in the year of 2023 as Random Acts of Kindness Month in the town of Carbonear, dated this 24th day of January 2023.
I so move, Mr. Mayor.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Slade, seconded by Councillor Doyle. Discussion? All in favour?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion passed. Move on to number 6, permits and correspondence. Councillor Doyle. Check in the folder to see if it's in your folder. That's right.
Sorry for that. I'm missing number 4 in my Dropbox all of a sudden. I'm not really sure why. Make a motion to approve permit listing 10140 to 10142.
And can we get a seconder for that? Second by Councillor Snow. Discussion? All in favor? Contrary minded, motion passed. Move on to 6.3, correspondence received and action taken. You can have a look down through there. Okay, we'll move on to number 7, 7A, Public Works, Committee Reports, Public Works, Waste Management and Community Services. Deputy Mayor Slade.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council can read through the minutes of our meeting, that last meeting we had. And out of that, there's one motion that needs to come forward. Whereas the limited call procurement process was followed to obtain consultant services for grassy lanes, water, sewer, storm upgrades, 17-G1-23-00047. And whereas the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, Municipal Infrastructure Division, is preparing the draft PCA contract for execution, be it resolved to award a contract to WSB E&I Canada Limited for $64,236.39 HST including, pending approval to award from the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. And I so do move, Mr. Mayor.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Slade, seconded by Councillor Seymour. Discussion?
I have friends on Grassy Lane, so I would like a vote held to make sure that I am not in conflict. Sorry. I have friends on Grassy Lane, so I just want to ask council if I'm in conflict on voting on this water and sewer issue.
Would someone like to make a motion for or against?
May I
Councillor,
move that as for having a friend in the area?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where this is going to go. Because we're going to be doing this every time somebody, and I understand Councillor Doyle asking the question, but it seems like it's going to be a little bit convoluted and complicated
Crazy.
as this process proceeds. But I move that Councillor Doyle is not in a conflict for having a friend on the street where development is taking place.
And
I
can we,
second that, Mr. Mayor.
seconded by Deputy Mayor Slade. Discussion? All in favor? Counter-minded, motion passed. Okay, so we moved by Deputy Mayor Slade and we seconded by Councillor Seymour.
Oh, Councillor Dow.
Oh,
No,
Councillor-
I didn't second it.
Oh,
No.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Counter-minded, motion passed.
Anything else, Mr. Mayor? If they see something there that they want to ask a question on?
I continue to have concerns with Banker's Pub. The town acquired it in the action, I don't know if it's a year ago now too, I can't remember. Before that, it was down there deteriorating for like a very long period of time. We've gone through the process like that we were required to by government, you know what I mean, in order to advertise it and RFPs and all the rest of it. So can we, like it says we're going to complete advertising, sharing the town will accept offers for the development for the building, but can we be, I guess what I'm asking is very proactive in this, because we don't want another building that the residents of Carbonear are going to be responsible for either tearing it down and assuming that cost or all the rest of it. Like, I think the sooner we find an interested party who will take that building and, you know, bring it back to its original glory or repurpose it or whatever. But I think we have to take, you know, a very, very, very proactive approach now with this. This is a good time of the year to get people interested. The next phase of Water Street is starting. You know, I think we got to move on this.
Deputy Mayor Slade?
Mr. Mayor, we discussed that also into our Public Works meeting last time around. I think Ian might have another little bit of information on that.
Councillor Seymour, you want to give him,
I got her. Thank you.
got it done.
So yeah, we discussed it in the last Public Works meeting. I didn't do anything with it since, but the idea is to do up an advertisement and try and, you know, we did pretty much everything we could. That's standard practice for divesting infrastructure. Now, again, I haven't done anything with it since our last meeting, but it's just on my list to do amongst other things.
So we are actively.
I want to get rid of it too.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're not forgetting about it. It's being.
No, absolutely not. It's on the
Yeah.
agenda, and we're working on it. And we did have someone like a few months ago, like a cold call email. They're interested in taking it over and doing whatever. We asked them for a proposal, and we didn't hear from them after, because we do have to know what they're planning on doing with it, right? So you know, we'll continue to pursue avenues to try and get rid of that building. I haven't looked at it lately at all. I'm sorry.
I have one further question too, as it relates to future waste development management services. Just curious if members of council saw the article that was online this week about the success that the city of St. John's is having with their clear garbage bags and the reduction in garbage, and somewhat of a forced approach to recycling. But they have seen many positives from this, and residents have to have their garbage in clear garbage bags. They're allowed to have one opaque bag for like private discretionary use. So that's something that, you know, Public Works should, you know, kind of consider. If it's working in a larger city, then, you know, their garbage has drastically decreased and their recycling has drastically increased, and the cost to putting garbage in Robin Hood Bay from Carbonear as opposed to recycling is a huge savings to the municipality of Carbonear and its residents.
Yeah, well, of course, when we started to talk about this some time ago, we said that, you know, we'd like to hear from councillors and what they thought, and, you know, like add anything into it. So, I mean, we're still open to that, and we're still in the early stages of it. But, you know, like recycling, and I agree, I mean, the cost of garbage to go from Carbonear to Robin Hood Bay is quite high. And, of course, the less we can put into our garbage and be recycled, we're all for that, and that's the reason why we're going through the process that we're going through. And as we get into it now a little bit deeper, I'm sure there's people in the MMSB that's going to come out and want to talk to council, we say, on how we pursue it. You know, I think they're very interested in seeing Carbonear take the role of coming ahead with that situation.
Any further questions for Deputy Mayor? Thank you, sir.
Didn't we also discuss about the expanding our community gardens for regards of waste also? You remember on the last meeting that we had, and we discussed even the process of expanding our community gardens and places.
Yeah.
We're looking for green spaces and that. We also discussed that too. So we can cut back on that, and that'll be, again, less going into the landfill side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what Councillor Seymour is referring to there is, certain waste that we put in our garbage that's recyclable. And so up there by Paddy's garden.
Compost.
Yes, compost.
Yeah.
And up there by the garden there now, of course, they got them bins up there to recycle that kind of stuff and that too. So I mean, like it's more far-reaching than anyone could imagine. Like compost. If you take the compost out of the garbage, and you take the recyclables out of the garbage and that, I think you would be very much so surprised. And exactly the weight that you're taking out of that actually goes to revenue bag. And I think, what's the price on that now, Caddy? 100 and... But anyway, it's 100, I'm thinking in my own head is somewhere in the vicinity.
$87, is it? Or
187 or somewhere.
87, and 27 for recycling.
Yeah, recycling.
Yeah, so
Anyway, it's
60
quite
bucks.
high, and we got that in our minds too. And with the possibility of probably putting around, another couple of those bins for that type of thing.
I just checked that CBC article. It's 88 per ton for garbage, and recycling materials coming at a cost of 22 per ton. I think the town needs to be more proactive when it comes to the community garden. Right now, they're actively seeking new members and an executive and stuff like that. They've had some people go away for work and could no longer commit to chair and stuff like that. And I mean, it's no good waiting till May or June to recruit people for a community garden organization. This is the time of the year when you need that kind of stuff needs to be done. So I think that all that stuff needs to be kind of like taken ahead with and proceeded with a bit more diligently.
Yeah, I think you got to, Mr. Mayor, I think what you got to do there is, I don't know if that garden, was fully dressed out last year regards to the bins and one thing and another. I don't know. Tell me if it was.
There's some of the beds in serious disrepair, so people were not interested in using beds that were falling apart, and the topsoil needed to be replaced and all the rest of it. The last couple of times they've had kind of like gatherings up there to do some work. They haven't had great support from the town councillors themselves. Like, very few people have shown up to help over the years, compared to, I think Councillor Knoll was on council when they first started. I remember the day of the opening. They had a huge thing of topsoil and everybody came and helped, do the beds. We have a lot of seniors up there who can't move topsoil to their own beds and stuff like that. So it's, I think the community garden probably should be referred back to recreation, and, there should be, some reorganization with the community garden. And I mean, again, if you're going to make new beds for the community garden to draw new gardeners in, then this is the time of the year that you make those new beds and you make the plans and you fix the fences and everything that they've kind of asked for. So.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, we'll move on to 7B, Recreation, Special Events, Culture, and Tourism. And that would be Councillor Seymour.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you. Still waiting on some quotes for certain things in our area, but that's a spring break, and when the spring breaks now, we'll be putting some implementation and getting things further pressed to get things in the ground, such as our, let me see, the lighting system we're going to need to put in there. We need a few things done on our swimming pool. That's all in the works. The ETTO and the regards of our master plan is moving forward. We had a meeting the other day and it looks really, really good. And from there, I think we got some more meetings arranged, and also some, I think, public meetings also coming up in the near future in the ETTO.
Wednesday, February 1st.
Wednesday, February 3rd, is it? Consultation?
First.
Okay, first, I'm sorry. And Winter Carnival special events met, and we're going forward, and hopefully we'll have a great Winter Carnival, and we'll give them an opportunity to move forward too, to have a great summer, because our 75th anniversary of our town is coming up, and in cooperation with municipalities, and we're looking forward to doing things with that. There's a few other things there if you want to look into it. We got a Down Home Expo in April 21st to 23rd at Mount Pearl. We will be having a booth put in there. What else is there, boys? There's a few other things there. We talked about the friendly things. We got some grants and everything that we're looking into for the summer for kids and families and everything, to make things a little easier for kids to get out there and make some money. Hey, I wish it was in my day. Other little things that there, guys, like ongoing things, but we can't solve them right now, but it will be a Hurley thing this spring. We're still negotiating stuff among the committee to see where we can go, but hopefully everything will work out as planned. If there's any questions other than that, you can ask me, or Mr. Knoll, who's on the committee with me, and Mr. Slade, who's also on the committee with me. You can ask questions to both, all of us, I'm sorry.
Any questions for Councillor Seymour? Or
Just have one comment that I'd like to make. It came over here. I'd like to take this opportunity to commend and congratulate. We had one of our new employees that got involved in a recreation program here in this town. Lots of time we have people come in here and they do their jobs. They're quite busy, but Mr. Farrell found the opportunity to get involved in a program at Carbonear Collegiate and coach his team to a Conception Bay North Championship, I believe it was. So I want to thank him for that and his team, and wish him best of success in the future. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Knoll.
any other questions for Councillor Seymour?
I think also under recreation, it's important to note that we have a young skater from Carbonear who's a student at Carbonear Academy who's at a major skating competition in Regina, Saskatchewan, and she's skating live tomorrow. So that's like, when you see good news like that coming out of recreational stuff with our town, and her dad is also an employee of the town, I think that's also, equally good news to share. I can't remember I don't know if a resident from Carbonear has ever made it to that competition, and if it was, it would have been one of the Blunden sisters back in the late 1980s, early 1990s.
So can we get a name added to that, Councillor Doyle?
Oh, sorry. Jasmine Whedon.
Okay.
Yep.
Send her congratulations.
Oh, yes, I already did.
Okay.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
Good job.
Yes, there's a motion there as well. For,
Yes, I have a motion to make
okay.
as well, yes. I have. Okay, Recreation, Special Events, Culture and Tourism, January the 16th. Resolved to purchase a 40-foot sea container from Ocean X at a cost of $8,000 plus HST.
And can we get a seconder for that? Second by Councillor Noel. Discussion? All in favor? Contrary minded, motion passed.
And that's all I have, sir.
Any further questions or comments for Councillor Seymour? Thank you, sir. We'll move on now to 7C, Development.
The Development Committee met on January the 19th. Under business arising, we had, we had a resident apply for a permit for a shed / playhouse on their property. They could have the shed / playhouse on their property. However, it needed to be advertised under discretionary notices of council, and the resident does not want to pay the discretionary notice fee. So it kind of left us in a bit of an awkward position because it can't be approved as is. It has to go under discretionary notice, which means that it would be advertised in the shoreline and letters would be hand delivered to the residents, immediately around them that it could impact. So we do have to proceed with a refusal order for the application.
What was the reason, what was the actual reason for it? Do you know?
I don't have the file in front of me. It's been going on for a while now. I think it exceeded the percentage of the land usage that they were allowed to use for accessory buildings, if I can recall properly. But it could have been too close to it wasn't too close to a border. It was exceeded the properties. Yep.
So
Yeah.
what was the size of the property? That's what I'm.
Huge.
This has been discussed at, it doesn't meet, we've discussed it
What
at
is the
development
size of-
for,
Do you know what the size is?
I don't know the size off the top of my head, but the regulations allow, if it's a certain size, if the property is over a certain size, you can exceed the maximum square footage for the accessory buildings up to 7%.
7%, yeah.
That's a discretionary notice issue.
so we can approve it as long as it process that it's advertised in the shoreline and that the letters are delivered to the neighbors. So, should the resident change their mind, we can proceed and it can stay, but as it stands right now, it can't be approved according to our regulations.
Did you want to speak, Councillor Snow?
I was just wondering if staff could contact the owner again and just give him one more shot, explain that they need a discretionary notice. Because I think it falls within the 3% or a certain percentage of the, pardon? 7%. Yeah, it falls within that. So there's no problem with the discretion, getting the discretion.
I think, Peter, you were at the committee meeting with me. I think that was recommended that it go in the letter as well, that it can proceed if they have if they go ahead with the discretionary notice, but as is, it couldn't, yeah. Yep, that's what we said at the meeting, correct?
I'm
Yeah.
just questioning when we say the amount of land. So do that pass that?
Yes, that's all measured, inspected, all of that. It doesn't get to us until it goes through all of these steps and processes.
But why, if it's a issue of permit, why would it have to go to the papers? That's just question.
Because it exceeds what we're allowed to legally prove. So then it has to go under discretionary,
Anything that gets approved as per council's discretion must be advertised, okay? That's why it requires a discretionary use advertisement. So, plain and simply, if they go ahead and pay the discretionary use advertisement fee, they would be permitted to be granted the permit.
Because it's over 7%, or
no, it's within the 7%. Over 7%, they're not allowed to have it.
Councillor Noel?
Mr. Mayor, I think Councillor Doyle should probably point out to us that I believe in the past, yes, there's a little bit of some things you got to jump through to get this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, once that process takes place, we've had a high degree of success with neighbours agreeing with that to be allowed. So
It's very rare for a neighbor to come back and say no, unless it's something that's going to cause all kinds of extra traffic and stuff. But I don't know if this is the right place to say this, but I am going to say it here. Development does very good due diligence with the MEO when it comes to all this applications in coordination with our CAO, the town clerk, our director of operations. If it's in business and involves our EDTO, we don't just say no. We try to problem solve before it gets to this process. However, I, like everybody else in this room, swore on a Bible that I would uphold the rules and regulations and policies and procedures as set out not only by my municipality, but by the province. So, whether or not I like some of these rules is irrelevant. Whether I know or whatever some of these people is irrelevant. I am bound, my decisions are bound by these regulations. So, if people have problems with these regulations, then when they do the municipal plan review, which is soon coming up, then you need to voice your opinion to the consultant who comes up with these rules and regulations. But there is absolutely 0 point in in a municipality having rules and regulations if, as a council, we're just going to continue to vote against our own rules and regulations, because otherwise it makes the committee's job impossible. It makes our municipal enforcement jobs officer impossible if we're just going to break our own rules all the time. Sorry for the side note. Anyway, I will carry on with my report. We had a number of development applications. Most of them were just like they go through the same process year after year after year, and as long as there's no complaints or concerns, then they continue to go on. There's a couple of sawmills, for example, and they'll all be passed because there hasn't been any complaints for neighbors or anything like that, and they continue to get their permits as long as there's no issues with neighbors. We have, that'll come under, the motions I'm going to make in a second. We have a couple of other businesses that are waiting on stuff from Service and L approval. So the EDTO works with the businesses to get the approval from Service and L. We did have a brief conversation at our meeting about some holdups and some processes that our EDTO was encountering with some business owners. And I think, EDTO, you've worked out processes to eliminate some of those issues. I think some of the business owners were sending stuff in, and then by the time some of the landlords were sending stuff in, like the applications, they were gone. Like if things weren't being sent in as a package, then they weren't being accepted. So I think our EDTO is actually submitting some of the stuff on behalf of businesses now in order to make sure that things move along in a more proficient process. We had quite a lengthy MEO report with respect to development. Some of these situations have been ongoing for a number of years, some of them. So we have a number of, so basically, if you build something without a permit, you get a letter saying that you need a permit. If you come in and get your permit and you pay your fee and it meets all the requirements, you get your permit. If you come in, you apply for it and it doesn't meet the thing, then we try to do discretionary, we try to problem solve, we try to move stuff, we try to, maneuver stuff around so that some things fit. Some stuff are not permitted. If you don't have titles to land, you can't build something on it. If you don't have a house on something, then you can't put an outbuilding on it. There are rules and regulations as set forth by the municipality that we have to follow. So you can take a look down through those if you have any questions on any of those. You can reach out to me because not all of them are going to motions. Some of them are going to reminder letters. Some of them are going to the next step, which could be court. Some of them are people who've built things and just haven't gotten a permit for it. And if they came in and got their permit, then they wouldn't got a letter or they wouldn't get an order for court. So under new business, the municipal plan, which I cannot personally wait to have done. They're in consultation with the consultant, and we talked about just the timing of it because there's a lot of things going on in the municipality right now. So like say we've got the strategic plan launch and you've got the recreation review, and now on top of it, we're going to be asking for residents for feedback for, our development plan regulations. So we just talked about, I think the EDTO was going to work out some dates in collaboration with the office staff so that we wouldn't be overwhelming the residents and turning them off from participating in all of this important stuff, because without the feedback from residents, there's nothing to shape these plans. So there's a number of things going on there. What else? That's kind of it. There's a bunch of ongoing items if you have any questions there. And under motions. Okay. Resolve to refuse the following applications. To construct an accessory building at 126 Valley Road, since the proposed accessory building exceeds the maximum lot coverage in the residential rural zone.
And can we get a seconder for that? Second by Councillor O'Grady. Discussion? All in favour? Contrary Motion passed.
Resolved to approve the following applications in accordance with applications submitted, the Town of Carbonear Municipal Plan and Development Regulations and other conditions as specified. To renew a permit to operate a domestic sawmill for personal use at 66 Longs Hill, subject to operation and maintenance of the sawmill in accordance with provincial guidelines and regulations. Sawmill to be operated within the accessory building on the property to reduce noise during operation and subject to annual renewal at the council's discretion. To renew permit to operate domestic sawmill for personal use at number 110 Whites Road, subject to operation and maintenance of sawmill in accordance with provincial guidelines and regulations. Sawmill to be operated within the accessory building on the property to reduce noise during operation and subject to annual renewal at council's discretion. To complete exterior renovations to the building at 223 Water Street, conditional upon the requirements of the Heritage Zone. To operate a new business, Women's Health and Wellness Center at 154 Water Street, conditional upon obtaining approvals from Service NL and/or other applicable government departments and agencies. And finally, to operate a new business, which is a vape shop, at 52 Powell Drive, conditional upon obtaining approvals from Service NL and/or other applicable government departments and agencies.
Just a quick question.
Well, let's get a seconder first, and we
Go ahead.
get a seconder for that, please. Second by Deputy Mayor Slade. Discussion.
Okay, it's just two there I'm concerned about, whether I would be in conflict, A and C.
Is that the two sawmills?
Yes,
Just because you own a sawmill, like,
I'm just asking the question.
are you?
Would someone like to make a motion with her? Go ahead, Councillor No.
I move to Deputy Mayor Slade is not in conflict of interest for merely owning sawmill similar to those being proposed.
I second that motion.
Can you get a seconder for that, please?
I second that
Second by
motion.
Councillor Doyle. Discussion. All in favor? Councillor motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. I would like to ask a question too for 223 Water Street, even though I'm not related to the individual, it is adjacent to my property. So I will ask the question as well.
It's adjacent to your property, you said?
Well, yes.
It's
Here.
right there.
So I'll ask the question as well.
If you were adjacent, it would be my preference that you step out for that one, because if that could be a monetary gain, if
I will ask the question, that's all.
Okay.
So if someone want to make a motion for or against.
I'll make a motion that council, or that Mayor Butt should not vote on that particular one.
Second by Councillor No. Well, actually, I can't. Deputy Mayor Slade, you'll have to take the chair there now.
We got to finish this first. You got to take the vote. I said yes, he should step out. Ray seconded it. You got to say all in favor.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you very much.
He doesn't have to leave for the vote. I don't think. No.
Not for that one, no.
All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion's carried.
Okay, so I'm going to make all of those motions. I'm not going to read all that again. I'm going to omit to complete exterior renovations to the building at 223 Water Street, conditional upon requirements from the Heritage Zone. I'm omitting that one.
Okay, and so we had a second for that, did we?
I thought.
Councillor No? No. Oh, Deputy Mayor Slade, that's right too, yes, Deputy Mayor Slade. Okay, discussion, all in favor? Contrary minded, motion passed. Deputy Mayor?
Okay. Councillor Doyle, can you repeat that motion of 223 Water Street, please?
To complete exterior renovations to the building at 223 Water Street, conditional upon requirements of the Heritage Zone.
Okay, the motion's been made by Councillor Doyle, second by Councillor Noel. Question? All those in favour? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Call the mayor back in.
All right, resolve to send a removal. Oh,
We're on a roll.
yes. Resolve to send a removal order to the following properties that have completed development contrary to the Town of Carbonear Municipal Plan and Development Regulations. To remove the deck at 54 Southside Lower Road. I don't think that's a deck. Clerk? That's not a deck. I don't think. Do you remember that one? That's, it's like it's a pet enclosure, correct? Yeah, but maybe that's what it's called. But my understanding is it's a pet enclosure. But I guess if that's what's there, 54 Southside.
There's another one. That's a pet enclosure.
Okay, never mind. My apologies. My apologies. To remove the deck, I'm confused, at 54 Southside Lower Road. To remove the shed at 26 Remembrance Loop. To remove the cat enclosure at 31 O'Driscoll's Lane. To remove the extension to the shed at 46 Crowdy Street. To remove the motorhome at Battery Rock. To remove the shed at 16 Cotter Street.
Can we get a seconder for that? Second by Councillor O'Grady. Discussion? That one there at 46 Crowdy Street, what was the last update on that? Is that current? Because I was speaking to the owner and he told me that he had he had decided the building removed to meet the regulations.
Not on the latest update
The MEO.
from the MEO.
What's the date on that?
January.
Okay, so
19.
within,
It just says
Couple
the
weeks.
extension remains in the minutes.
okay.
We can check that.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. All in favor? Contrary minded, motion passed.
And that's it for development. Just again, a friendly reminder to anyone doing any development within the boundary of Carbonear and the planning area that you do need a permit in order to, complete decks, fences, accessory buildings, any of that. And it's much easier on the homeowners and council members and the office staff when everybody works together to problem solve ways in order for people to have things at their properties that they want. But they do have to be done in accordance with our municipal plan.
Any questions for Councillor Doyle? Councillor Seymour? Shouldn't be sharing mics.
I just have one question, and this has been an ongoing thing with all of us here. It states here the MEO, and I'm not taking it down or nothing like that, I'm just going to ask a question. The MEO states it makes it difficult for him to enforce the regulations when council votes against the regulations. My problem with that is, and he put it in words that everybody can understand, but, and Mrs. Doyle, Councillor Doyle, you just said the same thing about regulations and everything else. But what I'm stating is this. When I went around door to door and I spoke to every individual, I promised them that I'd go in, give them a fair opportunity to relate to everything that I could do for them. But when we come to voting on certain things as council, we have to negotiate. We have to give everybody a fair opportunity in life in this town, because that's what's going to bring people there, development, issues at end. And I know regulations stands there. I understand that, guys. But my problem with this is this. If there's only a committee to make a statement and a hem-e-ho to say, yes, everything's okay, why am I here as a councillor to make any decisions? I'm tired of it.
are you, like, I completely understand, and I actually have sent an email in the last couple of days asking the same question. Why, or, like, in my opinion, council shouldn't be allowed to vote on things that are rules and laws, either provincial statute or municipal statute. Like, if they're law, then no, I don't think we should be able to vote on them. I think it should be an expectation. I don't know if the government was naive and thought that, okay, well, you know, councils will understand that these are rules and regulations, so they'll, you know, they were designed to protect municipalities and all of its residents, and not just a select few, and not this man here, but not this person here, and this woman here, but not this person here. The rules were designed to be fair and consistent for all residents. So that's, like, you know, I have voted occasionally against a rule that we have here on council, but I have followed it up in an email to the CAO to say, this is why I think this policy is not fair. And I will certainly, you know, everybody sees me with my book. I write down things that I disagree with. So when we do the municipal plan review in the fall, I can voice my opinion, and I can say, I don't think that this setback is fair. In St. John's, they have this setback, so why can't we have this setback here? I don't think this rule is fair. Why does, you know, the city of Mount Pearl, why are they allowed to have this, but our rule is this? But I mean, right now, I'm doing my very best, as I feel the development committee is doing as well, to keep things that are fair and consistent. So if Johnny down the road wasn't allowed to have a shed because he exceeded the 7%, then Harry up the street shouldn't be allowed to have it either.
Well,
and that's very, very, very difficult in a small town when you know a lot of people, but being fair and consistent is also our responsibility. And if you don't like our rules and regulations, then I think the onus is on council to change some of those rules and regulations. Look at the regulations. Go in and read the development regulations and write out the ones that you don't like and the ones you disagree with, and bring that back to committee. Because maybe we can look at some of the rules and regulations as a committee, and we might be able to change some of those on our own without having to go through the whole development review. But I mean, in my personal life as a teacher, there's lots of rules in the school system that I don't like, but I have to follow them. And I'm sure you're much the same at the hospital. You have to follow the rules. You have to take your breaks when you're allowed to take your breaks. You got to do this, you got to do that. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I understand exactly where you come from. But what I'm saying is, here I am voting as a councillor to represent the people to the best of my ability. And at the end of the day, when I open my mouth to say something, I'm contradicted by, oh, that's a rule, that's a regulation. I understand we got to follow. I follow myself. I want my family and my children to bring up to be the same thing. But at the end of the day, we're bought in there to negotiate, and sometimes we argue. I bought something up a while ago about such and such a line road, for instance. Whatever happened, it happened. At the end of the day, then all of a sudden I get contradicted out here, and someone says, hold on now. We're not supposed to be putting certain things in the line road because it's not in our jurisdiction, it's on the provincial jurisdiction. So what is it, guys? Somebody's got to come up with the rules and regulations to lay it on the line. Is it municipal? Is it provincial? Is it federal? At the end of the day, we got to start making choices, and choices to the people. You're asking this town to grow. You're asking this town to bring population here. You're asking this town, yourself personally, to bring doctors here. But if we keep bringing down the regulations and we keep bringing down the people, we're not going to have nothing come here because we don't want them here.
But not only that, Councillor Seymour, we can't operate as the wild, wild west either. There has to be rules and regulations, and I mean, we're no different than any other municipality. But I mean, if we just continue to vote against all of our own rules and regulations, then I mean, like as far as I'm concerned, I think we're in contravene of the Municipalities Act by doing all of that. And you know, like, I mean, we're lucky that Carbonear has a lot of assets, and we have we're very fiscally stable, and we have a great relationship with the municipal affairs. But I mean, there are a lot of municipalities in our province who we are the envy of because we're so well organized, you know. And I get a lot of residents don't like our rules and regulations. Like, again, I don't like some of our rules and regulations, but that's not my role.
Anything else?
Look, I just brought up
I'm
the
going to
subject.
get Councillor Snow.
Thank you for giving me the floor to voice my opinion on something. That's all I wanted to do. And I thank all of you for putting up with to listen to the situation at the end of the day, and the people out there if you're listening. But I just want to clarify my peace of mind.
Thank you. Councillor Snow.
I think if you're going to make rules and regulations that's going to cover every single conceivable scenario out there, then you're a genius, right? We make rules and regulations, then we say, oh, but this situation doesn't necessarily fit. And that's why you have a council to cushion our residents from the regulations when they don't make sense. I'm not saying that that's happens a lot of times, but there are situations in which our rules don't seem to fit. And that's where the human element comes into play. And that's why we're elected here, and that's a very important part of it. And our town motto is the town that says you're welcome. I've run into a lot of people since I've been on council, the last year or so, who probably disagree with that motto. And I think a softer approach with people would cut down on the amount of letters going out to people and regulations not being followed and having put letters off to that expensive and cumbersome process of going to court and things. So if we can work together as a team and work with people, I think a lot of these problems wouldn't exist, quite frankly. But, people if you put in a permit to get something done and it gets turned down, you're probably in a bit of a heated mood. It's probably not a good time to be communicating with that person. But you give them a few days, you explain things out. Most people are pretty reasonable. But, you've got to have positive communications with them if we're going to be effective here.
Absolutely. Deputy Mayor Slade.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've seen a lot since I come back to this council, and it's not all I agrees with. And of course, here's what I'm going to say. And I want every councillor sitting around this place here tonight, this office, this chamber, to sit down. I want some to think about it. If there's rules and regulations there that you're not in agreement to, I suggest that council take the time to sit down when all this comes back, to sit down and go through with a fine-tooth comb. Because I'm going to tell you something. In my experience, I haven't seen too much that's been positive, like in the chambers here lately. And I'm going to tell you something. We need to sit down. We need to turn around and go through that with a fine-tooth comb. Because as Councillor Doyle said, and I don't disagree with her, this is the only way it's going to get changed. So if you see something that you don't like, and or something that makes it a little bit more simple to do something, like for somebody to build a house in Carbonear, I tend to think, and this is my opinion, again, I suppose I'm allowed an opinion. My opinion here is we're populating outside of Carbonear with some of the rules and regulations that's there. I think is quite harmful to us, and I think that's the reason why that we're populating outside. And I witnessed that for myself. I witnessed that for myself when I sat in that chair over the years, and this one couldn't get a permit, or that one couldn't get a permit, or whatever the case may be, because their father or their grandfather gave them a piece of land, and so on and so forth. And then when you go into another community and a new development, and you see all those homes and the very people that we turned away. And so, I mean, I got some concerns about it. I got to be honest with you, Councillor Doyle. I really do. But I'm going to tell you something. When the new town plan comes, I will be going over with a fine-tooth comb. And hopefully we can have enough conversation here among ourselves to bring some rhyme and reason behind it. You don't need more regulations that's going to make it very difficult for anyone to build a house here or start a business here. You need to be more open-minded than that.
I Before we continue, we're having video trouble with the video. But we have audio.
Yeah.
But I just want to give the viewers out there that we're still here, because you can hear us. But Councillor O'Grady has the floor here.
Yeah. No, I mean, one of the most important roles of council is to set the policies and procedures. That's one of our roles, and we set the policies and procedures for all the staff to follow. And so, if you've got a problem with the policies and procedures, then we can change them. But I think it's a slippery slope. I mean, if you're knocking on doors, like you say, and one guy says, I don't like this, the neighbor might have completely opposite, You know what I mean? Like, you got to be careful. You can't be, picking this one over that one. You know, so I mean, it's a slippery slope. You're going down right now, as far as I'm concerned, a slippery slope. I mean, I don't think our policies and procedures are that much different than any other towns that I've seen. And I mean, we have discretion, as we found out here tonight. If someone is, we have discretion put in there. If something is exceeding, there's a way they can poll the neighbors and see, and they can do that. And we turned down a business here on Water Street a couple of years ago. We put it out to the neighbors, and all the neighbors didn't want this business there, and we turned it down, right? And that business person was very upset, but it was so I mean, that's the procedures we have in place. And I mean, I don't see that much discretion. We have discretion, but I don't know. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say. We're going down the slippery slope.
I just want to comment too. Like, at development, no one knows how much time we spend trying to problem solve. Like, I'll have our director of operations there.
We're starting to get off track. We're gone here. I'm going to give the last thing to Councillor Snow, because we're repeating ourselves here now, guys. We're just going around in circles. You have anything different to say from what we're saying?
Well,
Just one little point for clarification, maybe the town clerk can do that for me. I was at a development meeting where we were talking about, for example, the fence regulations, and someone said, well, the province supersedes the town, so there's no way we can change it. Is that load a bunker, or is that the way it is, town clerk?
what that was referring to was that
You
cannot construct within the street reservation.
Yeah, that was hammered at me, that the town the council hasn't got the authority to change offense regulations because that's with the province.
It's in the Municipalities Act about
Municipalities Act. So
Yes, that's correct. We can change our fence regulations in regards to height, etc., but we can't change it to put it in the street reservation. Okay? While something exists in the street reservation and is grandfathered in and is kept in good repair, it can stay there and be grandfathered in. But once it becomes to a dilapidated state and has to be replaced, then it has to go back out, like not in street reservation. It has to be moved back to the property line.
So there are some regulations changing, some that we can't.
Yes, there are some. With our regulations, our municipal plan and regulations, they have to fall within the Urban and Rural Planning Act. Okay, so minimally we have to meet the requirements of the Urban and Rural Planning Act. So if we come up with a set of regulations that don't meet that minimum requirement, then they won't get approved. Okay, so we have to stick within minimal guidelines from the Urban and Rural Planning Act. And yes, we, as long as they fit with that plan, like they're reviewed by that department when we adopt them. Okay, but I agree with Councillor O'Grady. He indicated that council's role is to create policies and procedures to allow the town to operate in the manner in which you want it to move in. But however, those policies and procedures, once adopted, becomes law, and you are required to uphold them. So again, I think Deputy Mayor Slade indicated, Councillor Doyle indicated, so we're in the midst now of a municipal plan review. So now is your opportunity to review all of the zoning regulations, the requirements, research other towns and what they're doing, see what the minimum that's required by urban and rural planning, and if you want to make some changes that you feel would encourage even more development here in the municipality, like maybe some items the planner may even recommend that we reduce the minimum frontage that's required for development, because it's standard now in some other municipalities, so the town of Carbonear can consider that as well. So that's why it's of utmost importance that you review our current regulations, be a part, an active part, play an active role in the plan review, and ask many questions and have your questions answered during the plan review. But I will add that you seem to indicate that we're not we're not a welcoming community. We are a welcoming community. And if you look at all the applications that have crossed over our desk and come into the town, there are times, and there will be times, and even if we get a new municipal plan, there's still going to be times when something is not going to meet the regulations. And we unfortunately have to say no at some point in time. So we sit down with developers all the time to try and fit a development with them. So like, for example, we had a development over on Goff Avenue that we spent time with them to try and get it to work. And sure enough, we got it to work. Okay, so in consultation, but we do that all the time. We do that before we come to you. And we're working at that all the time. The staff, whether it be the CAO, myself, the Director of Operations Public Works, the EDTO sometimes helps with the business side of applications. So we're doing that all the time. But the ones that come to you that can't be approved are, it's not that we don't want to see development, it's just that it doesn't meet the regulations. So you're seeing the few and far between, because if you look at your permit listing for the year, you see way more being approved, and we welcome every development in the town as long as it complies with our municipal plan and regulations. So yes, our municipal plan and regulations have gone a number of years now without being reviewed. So it is, a good time for review, and I'm glad to see that we're doing it, but you must become an active part, because that's your role in setting the policies and procedures that we have to follow. So we're following the policies and procedures that are set out by government and the municipality in adhering to their minimum requirements, and we have no choice but to advise you what your regulations are, and sometimes we do have to suggest that it not be approved.
I didn't say that was my opinion, that that you're not welcome here in the town, but I'm just saying that it has been expressed to me.
Right.
And I would thank the town clerk. I've seen her actively problem solving for developers, where they can put their building and where they can't. And I know you do what you can to help people.
We're a team here, and we all do. Like I said, CAO, Director of Operations Public Works, myself, the EDTO, we're always trying to work with.
You should include council now in with that team too.
But Peter, that's the role of the development committee. Once we meet, once they come up with ones that they can't problem solve, then they take it back to the development committee for another set of eyes to see if we can try to problem solve a way that they haven't all seen, even though they're the experts. And then in addition to that, then they're just not like often automatically refused. They're contacted multiple times. Then like there's letters. Like there's huge processes.
The vast majority of them go through no problem. Nothing. We don't even see those, right? It's just the problem ones we're focusing on.
All right, guys. I'm going to Deputy Mayor wants to have the final say there now.
Okay, just a comment back to Chris, because Chris mentioned different things regard to the new town plan and one thing and another. And Chris, some of what you said I agree with, and in fact most of it I agree with. But when we sometimes we have to become leaders, and instead of followers, and sometimes as the regulations gets made up, like you're not comparing them the same. The city of St. John's got 100,000 plus people. So what's good for St. John's may not be good for, we say, some small community like the town of Carbonear. And so when we're doing stuff like that, we need to compare apples with apples. And so I think it's very important for us to do that. Towns of equal sizes, yes, by all means. But, and again, because that's good for that town there, it may not be good for this town there. So we got to sit down and we got to make a good, logical decision, and we got to go through that town plan, and we got to make sure that we put things into it that are friendly towards people, and that's just my thought.
Yeah, and in my experience before, though, the staff, of this town will always look at towns of equal size. Whenever we look at rules, we don't go to St. John's. We look at towns of equal size.
Clarenville.
All the time, yeah. That's the way we normally do it.
And it's something we have to do.
Here we go. Thank you. You got the mic there, Director of Operations? You got the floor.
Thank you. That's a tough act to follow. So I'll go through this right quick. We're actually on our winter schedule with our public works crews. So we have a weekend shift on, or evening shifts, and all that stuff. It was mild enough last week to actually address some of our potholes. We've been having trouble getting coal patch for past a little while, but we actually took our recycler out and fixed a few potholes on a mild day last week. And because of the snow and melt, we are keeping an eye on a lot of our drainage areas to make sure that we don't have catch basins that are clogged up with snow and the stuff can't get away. Under our capital projects, so this is up to the 20th, so that's Friday of last week. There's some updates since then. I'll just mention them as I go. Water Street Phase 3, I submitted the RFP documents for consultant services, and that's actually advertised now. The paving program, since my last report, we've awarded that contract, so that's going to start in the spring. The exterior doors at the Civic Center, that project started yesterday, and we've got one door pretty much done in the back here. Valley Road Phase 4, the consultant is currently working on design development, so we're hoping to call tenders on that one soon. Water Street Phase 2, the tender call closed on the 19th. I received the recommendations from the consultant today. So I'm waiting on a little bit more information for that, but I'll have that at the next Public Works Committee meeting, and we'll have it into council soon, I hope. Adelaide Street Phase 1, we're going to award that one. I've already got the resolution of council. Adelaide Phase 2, the RFP is called for that one. It's closing on the 10th of February. I've got the RFP drafted for the water system vulnerability study, and that's gone for review. And Grassy Lane, I'm expecting the award for the limited call process that we went through. I'm expecting that from the government in the next little while, and I'll award that one and get that project going too. So there you go.
I'll say it. Any questions for the Director of Operations or comments? Turn on your microphone.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, now, last year, we didn't get much of the patch paving done. We said it was in the contract last year, right?
It's starting this spring, yeah. We have
Okay,
we went through an RFP process for the engineers for that one.
Yes, okay. So that will get done in the spring. So any patch paving for this year in the upcoming budget, so will that tend to get done handy bit same time if we start the process now?
I've got to bring forward a new list for, is the next projects or next roads that are down the list.
Yeah.
So I got to bring that forward to Public Works Committee. I didn't get to it yet.
But that way there, Director of Operations, that way there, it won't get fouled into next fall where that gets pushed into another year, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, ideally, yeah. It's just a matter of getting time to get to it.
Yep, okay, then, thank you.
Director actually relayed that to me today, that, he was going to be getting ready the 2023 asphalt paving, so that, it would be done earlier, right?
I have a question too about the dog park, Southside Playground, Sliding Hill Road. Is that a road? And where does it fall on the list to get plowed? Because whenever we had the snow on the weekend, I had gotten some calls from residents before the road got plowed, and there was some confusion over whether or not it's actually a town road and who plows it and when it's plowed and all the rest of it. So I know it got plowed because then I actually ran over afterwards, and there was like 100 families on the hill. So is that kind of like the parking lot here at the Civic Center? It's like after all the main roads and everything is done, then that's plowed and cleared for the dog park and the playground.
Yeah, that's not as high a priority as, say, Bond Street or the ambulance routes, or, yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other comments? Perfect. Thank you. Okay, move on to number 9, finances, operating invoices over $2,000. Councillor O'Grady.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, resolve to approve the operating invoices over $2,000 in the amount of $50,611.16.
And can we get a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Snow. Discussion? All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion passed. Turn your microphone on here.
Just wanted to note that that last invoice for the video productions is included in that list, which you just approved. So we'll be going ahead with the release of those videos. Correct? Okay.
Also, there's, excuse me, also there's two capital invoices. Resolve to approve capital invoice for the Exception Bay Regional Community Center Extension, Eastern Contract Unlimited, CP number 15, $6,440. And the Powell Drive upgrading Phase 2 is a gas tax project, Harborside Transportation Consultants, invoice number 2637, $9,729.
Can we get a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Noel. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion passed.
Just wanted to clarify, the previous motion to that was made by Councillor Grady, who was the seconder?
Oh,
it
Snow.
Councillor-
There we go. Councillor Snow.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on 10, nothing. Ooh. Number 11, notice of motion. Number 12, new business. There's only one new business here, and that's the appointing of liaisons for different committees. Last year, I sent out an email asking those who wanted to express an interest in being on a committee or not on it, whichever way they wanted to be. We have one that's not filled, and that would be Heritage. And if I'll read down the ones that are filled, and if we can get someone to do Heritage, we'll go down to the line, this way here. So for the Harbour Authority, it'll be Councillor Noel. For the Theatre, Councillor O'Grady. For the Special Events Committee, Councillor Deputy Mayor Slade. And we need someone now for Heritage. We'll go down.
Excuse me, we had a big discussion and I was remaining on special events.
Well, I sent out the email and I didn't hear back.
I wrote you back and we discussed it here amongst us, and I was staying on special events. Deputy Mayor Slade wanted to come off Heritage. I didn't wish to come off of special events, and there were two councillors who weren't liaisons for anything. So if Deputy Mayor Slade wants to come off for something, then Councillor Seymour or Councillor Snow can go on Heritage, but I do not wish to come off of special events at this time.
Well, I sent the email out, and the only ones I got back were from Councillor O'Grady and Councillor Noel. They want to remain where they were. And Deputy Mayor.
Just a quick question, Mr. Mayor, because, don't you, before, we used to change the committees up and so that, everybody could experience different committees. I know when I was here, I used to change up committees.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just wondering, is that the process here now, or?
It's certainly good to have different people in different committees for a year or so, and then
move them out, we
change
say, and let
around.
somebody else?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
It's just,
We had a huge conversation here. You were all present. I have been asked by members of special events to stay on. We're in the process of planning Winter Carnival. We had a meeting Sunday night. I went to the Recreation Plan Master Review with the Special Events Committee last week. I put a lot into special events. I have expressed I have written you personally an email. I have expressed it to everybody in this room that I want to stay on special events. And I will be quite upset if I'm removed from a committee that I don't want to be on because of another council. You expressed you didn't want to stay on Heritage, correct?
I was satisfied to get changed up like everybody else.
Well, I don't think that I should have to pay the price, you know what I mean, for somewhere that I'm happy and that I feel I'm contributing and that I have given a lot of time over the past 2 years I've been on it. I was previously on something else, and then I got moved to special events.
So we need someone for heritage. So I'll go down the line. Councillor Doyle, would you like to be the liaison for heritage? Or what is it called, heritage? What's it called? The Carbonear Heritage Society.
In addition to special events?
Well, the only one that expressed interest was Deputy Mayor O'Grady.
I don't know how many
Deputy
more
Mayor.
times I can say it. I've said it here 3 times. Councillor Noel, Councillor O'Grady, Councillor Seymour, and Councillor Snow. Were you not in that privileged meeting here when I said I do not want to come off of special events? I feel this is a personal vendetta against me here this evening.
I'm going to rule you out of order now. I've made my email, sent my email out, and I had 2 responses. Councillor O'Grady and Councillor No.
It is the decision of council
had a,
to appoint committees. It is not the decision of the mayor.
And I had the conversation with Deputy Mayor. So we need someone to fill the role of liaison for Carbonear Heritage Society.
I am absolutely mind blown here tonight. And I am very disappointed in the rest of the members of council for not speaking up on my behalf for all of the stuff that I've done for special events, and for none of you to speak up and say, you all were at that meeting when the mayor was told, and this is a decision of council, not of the mayor. Oh.
Deputy Mayor, Councillor No.
No, this process about the appointment of liaisons and committees, I know I did email you. If Councillor Doyle said that she emailed you, I think that's worthy of a check. Now, I'm not saying that you didn't get it, or she sent it definitely. I don't know what happened there.
I didn't receive an
Right.
email. I received 2.
You know, and is there anything wrong, like, I had to support Councillor Doyle there in her involvement in this municipality, not just as a part of council, but in everything else that she's been a part of. And, you know, if somebody is a dedicated volunteer, is there anything that says there can't be 2 people from council that remains a part of such a demanding committee as special events? These guys in that special events committee, along with, I hate getting naming specific groups, but I will put them up there with any group in this municipality for their support, and they're continuing to try to move the town forward. So, like, I hate to see us fighting over something like that, because that's what it's coming down to. And it's unfair for someone to, even whatever stage of the process is, if she still expresses a desire to be a part of it, I know the way volunteers are in this world, like everybody else. Volunteers are more scarce than they've ever been in the past. And the last thing we need to do is upset a committee or individual members of committees or liaisons. So I'd like for us to try to move this forward in a very positive way.
Councillors.
No.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
I just spoke with Councillor Seymour, and I don't mind 2 of us going with Heritage, and that way if one of us he's got work, he can't make a meeting, then I can fill in, and vice versa. And I think Councillor Noel's idea of 2 people being added to committee, double the power, double the manpower, right? Or person power, we should say, right? Are we allowed to do that,
Well,
Mr.
the
Mayor?
town clerk said you could have a liaison appointed and then have an alternate to.
An alternate,
Yeah.
okay.
In the
I think
event that you
for-
need to.
Mr. Mayor, I think they may have, like, I know the theater board has the terms of reference, and they allow 1 council member,
Only.
you know, to be on, you know, they may not want, I don't know what terms of reference are for any other, like the Heritage Society, but the theater has 1 allowing for 1 person, right?
Well, I
I
guess
mean, I don't know if that's, like you said, you like to shake up committees now, that's not what you did the last 4 years. We had people on committees for the entire term in the last council, you know, so for me, I mean, if for 1 year, we've only had 3 meetings for the theater board, you know, if you're gonna take someone off, you're hardly on long enough to know what's going on, you know?
Yeah, you want to.
I've only been on for 1 year.
For sure, I mean, just enough time to get 1 year is just enough time to get your feet wet. But you need to-
So, I mean, if Deputy Mayor Slade wants to come off, then somebody else can go on the Heritage side, and we got somebody on every committee. I have Councillor Doyle as extremely, as Councillor Noel said, extremely dedicated, and she puts a lot of effort into the special events. It's a lot of work. So, I mean, I see no reason why to move her off.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I do believe that the legislation, I don't have it in front of me here now, but I do believe that the appointment of committees, right, it says it's done by council.
Yep.
In the absence of council doing it, it will be done by the mayor. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe it says they shall remain in existence for the term of council. I'd like for someone to check that. Now, that's not saying, I don't know what the wording is for committees, for liaison personnel, but for committees, I'm pretty confident in saying that that they stay in place, like we've been appointed to the committees, that they would remain in effect for the term of council.
I'm just disappointed that the mayor, is just disrespectful of my decision, and the council. I thought we had previously agreed that I would stay at special events. In addition to that, new business is also supposed to be. Whenever I submit new business, I've been told by the town office that it has to be emailed in by Friday, and the content has to be circulated to members of council before the council meeting on Friday, because then it goes out on the agenda. So I feel this was an attack on me personally tonight, and I will voice this at a later time. But I will go with what council wants me to do. But I'm super disappointed, not only in being blindsided by trying to take me off special events, where I'm dedicated and I do a lot of work and I'm, quick to help them with whatever, but just the way this all went down tonight, I'm extremely disappointed in the
So
rules of
would,
procedure not being followed.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
Councillor Doyle is there now, as she thinks there's a vendetta being set up against her. There's no such thing for me. Or the mayor, I'm pretty sure. I expressed, that I was interested in going on it, and then I come here, and then you make the statement that you feel it's a vendetta against you here tonight.
Not by you, Deputy Mayor Slade, not by you.
Nor the mayor. I don't see it. When the mayor asked for a list of people, what they wanted to do, and one thing and another, I expressed interest into the Special Events Committee. The last going off, and correct me if I'm wrong, the last going off, we say when he appointed these committees and that, I'd be on this committee or that committee or whatever committee, you too, Chris, and all the rest of us here. And then when he went through the process, did I hear right that the mayor was going to revisit it after Christmas, regards to the liaisons? Is that correct?
But that would be done with council.
Yeah, but isn't that what the mayor's doing here now?
I don't feel that he just kind of listed that I was being moved off of special events and you were being moved there.
Did you send a letter or anything to the...
Yes, I sent an email and we discussed it. Were you all here when we discussed it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't see, I
think-
asked for an email, I didn't receive any. Councillor,
I think the subject at hand is not, I got nothing against you, Councillor Doyle, whatsoever. And Mr. Mayor, I don't think you're doing it as a vendetta. I think that's a bad word to be used among ourselves, a vendetta, because that's something that's a far cry from what it is. Because the people that listen to it here now, they're saying, well, that's not council that we're going to put in there now. That's not council. That's, I'm excuse the word, mafia. What are they doing? Threatening one another in council. That's a bad choice of words. But in saying that, we did say, at the meeting, we all had an enclosed meeting, like you said. We did say that we'd revisit after Christmas. We all said it. And I don't know, but to revisit, but Mr. Slade said he would be interested in going on special events. He also, at the time, I said I'd look at Heritage at the time. I said, yes, possibility. And that's all was said. I didn't say anyone that was going to, you were going to do this, you were going to do that. I know it was put at hand and it was put forward. But to say the word vendetta and got something against you, because we got to go back a long ways back. About a year and a half ago, I came to council, and you looked across at me at the chambers, and you spoke on something. You talked about your education and everything else, how come you weren't on committees. I could have looked at you and said, what have you got against me? That I'm non-educated? You're talking about vendettas. I think we should let this word drop. And I think for the guys of what it is, if we need to go any further with this, we should look at it as a council and vote on it if necessary.
Committees were decided are supposed to be decided by council. In lieu of council, the mayor decides it. The mayor tonight read out that deputy mayor was going to special events, and that was not what we had discussed at the council meeting. Now, Councilor Seymour, you were there, Councilor Snow, you were there, Councilor Knoll, you were there, and Councilor O'Grady, you were there, and Deputy Mayor Slade, you were there. Did we not say that I would remain on special events and we would go back
No,
and
we did not.
revisit Heritage?
We
Well,
did
I remember that a lot differently than you do.
No, we did not say that. We said we had an open discussion,
Mm-hmm.
and we said we'd further this discussion after Christmas.
Okay, well, I'm expressing my desire here again tonight to remain on special events, as I have done in the meeting we had before Christmas, as I did in an email. I like special events. I feel an asset there. I am not a great asset to the Heritage Society at this time because the deputy mayor is involved in the train and the committee for the train. I'm not involved in that committee. I am heavily involved in Winter Carnival. I'm heavily involved in planning for the summer concert this summer, and they have expressed to keep me there.
Councillor Snow.
Given what Councillor Knoll mentioned about people being appointed committees for the term, 4 years, and I think there's some information that we need to check out. And I think the best thing to do with this whole situation is if we have a privileged meeting, maybe in early February, February the 6th, where we can straighten out the committees and have a more open and frank discussion. I don't think we're going anywhere right now. We're just kind of spinning our wheels in the mud, and we need to...
Well, we only need one liaison for the Heritage. The Recreation Commission, we have someone for that, do we?
But I'd like to know if we're following the correct procedure. The Councillor Knoll said that once people are appointed to a committee, they're there for the life of council. So I think we need to clarify some of those
So,
points.
I'm asking council, am I coming,
Are we voting?
are you voting to take me off of special events and putting Deputy Mayor Slade there? I'm asking the question.
Are we voting on
Because
this, Mr.
he
Mayor?
keeps listing out
Well, that
or
was the
Deputy Mayor
plan.
Slade.
After I read out, after we get someone to fill in for the Heritage, then we have the vote. Oh, it comes down to council. Council decides. I mean,
We offered to fill in for Heritage. Councillor Knoll?
Mr. Mayor, would this not be considered like HR, and HR issues should be discussed in privilege meeting?
Yes.
Like,
No.
I know HR is
Yeah.
For
can
staff,
be the
HR
employed
would be for staff, right?
But does it apply to
Committees?
elected officials? Because we are taking on roles
Yeah.
that are, with clearly established procedures.
No.
I wouldn't think so.
So we can get tell you what we'll do. We'll get a filler for the Heritage, and then if you want to revisit or have a discussion at a later date. But we've been at this now since last year.
I object.
Yes, we've been at this since last year, and then we don't want to be keeping it moving it forward.
I think.
Turn your microphone on there.
I think we could, at this point in time, I know we had said that we'd bring it forward, but it is nice for council to have more notice for the discussion that's coming up on it, and I know we did agree to add it tonight to the agenda, but now I feel that they probably would like more time to ponder over the decision and what's being suggested, so would
Just
it
look for clarification.
would it be okay to defer it to our next meeting?
Well, could we have a special meeting, or
Yes, we could do that.
Given the, what's come up here tonight, like this is unfortunate, but I think it could be avoided. And I think that we could have some other discussions, because right now this is an inflamed debate, if I can use that term to describe it. And we get this straightened out and move past it and move on to the duties of council.
I understand at the meeting we had in December that Deputy Mayor Slade wanted to come off of Heritage, but I don't understand why that impacts me with special events. Why do I have to come off a committee that I enjoy because he wants to come off of Heritage? That should have no bearing or impact on my role as the liaison for that committee. Because why special events? Why is it not the
because
other-
I sent out the email, and then the two people here, Councilor Noel and Councilor O'Grady, they sent back an email saying that they would like to remain pretty rare.
And I asked you in addition to being on
Did you
our
respond
other
to the
committees.
email?
Yes,
I gotta
Well, I
find
didn't
it.
see it. You have to show me the email. Or
And I not only responded to the email,
Send me the email. so I
we
can-
talked about it here, and I was very firm in my statements here. If you all recall, I'm no less emotional that afternoon than I am tonight.
Send me the email so I can review it.
Again, it's a decision of council. It's not a decision of the mayor. That's in the Municipalities Act.
Okay. Councillor Seymour, would you like to be liaison for the Heritage Society? So here we have
Yes, sir.
Councillor Noel for Harbour Authority, Councillor O'Grady for the Theatre Board, Deputy Mayor Slade for Special Events, and Councillor Seymour for the Heritage Society.
I object to the
Is
special
there
events.
Is the recreation one still?
Could I recommend Councillor Doyle for the special events?
Well, we already have. We only filled it. We only need
Well,
one.
are we
filled.
going to vote though? Or I
Yes.
mean,
Oh, we got to vote. Yeah.
we're going to vote in for each individual committee.
Well, for a group,
together?
I guess.
I see that's not fair either. You're going to vote for the groups, and that's
No,
I don't care.
that
whatever
doesn't
you
make
wanna do.
sense.
this is so unprofessional tonight. I'm mind blown here about how unprofessional this is
Councillor
tonight.
Noel.
Mr. Mayor, I think that we should adjourn this.
I second that motion.
Yep,
And we
I third it.
come back to this.
Yeah,
Right? So I would appreciate that. You put
I
that to
agree.
council
I
for
don't think we
decision.
should vote on this now.
Okay, moved by
What's the
Councillor.
motion? Oh, yeah,
To
absolutely.
adjourn or to revisit this?
To adjourn.
Yeah.
The meeting or?
Yep.
Yes, adjourn the meeting, but I think the recommendations I believe the recommendations are already put forward, that we have another look at this.
Agree.
Right, but right now, we adjourn the meeting.
I think we should
Discussion.
I think we should close the book on what we're doing here tonight. Come back and have a special meeting. We'll discuss whatever needs to happen. And even though I accepted Heritage, I mean, Councillor Snow might even want it, but at the time when we have that special meeting, now we'll make the final decision, then we'll bring it to council, pass it as a motion. Whoever is whatever, and whoever is in whatever, that's the way it'll be. And I think, like, council will make the decision, and we'll stand by it. But again, I go back to what it was said there before Christmas. It was a long while before Christmas. We did say that we looked at Mr. Slade, Councillor Slade, coming off of Heritage and going into special events. At that time, we did. I think Mrs. Doyle, Councillor Doyle, you're on also the recreation.
I am a civic member
Yeah,
of the
right.
Recreation
Okay.
Commission. I was on
That's
the
another thing we got-
Recreation
That's another
Commission.
thing we got to look at also.
I'm a member of the public on that.
Yes, I
and
understand that. I
yeah.
understand that. Yeah.
And I was on
I'm
that
saying
long
this.
before I was on council.
That's true. A lot of things we got to look at there because that could be a conflict of interest. Certain things we bring up in the recreation too. So I mean, we got to stop and look at.
How am I in a conflict of
Because you're
interest
out there and
there?
You're in the civic area because, I mean, there's certain things that we got to look at.
What's that?
For the guys that, oh, we're going to pass off stuff to recreation, now we're going to pass off.
The Recreation Commission has nothing,
Vote there,
We're better off
Okay.
leaving this first too and adjourn for the night, and then we'll further this in a longer way of getting together as personally, a special meeting for ourselves.
And, okay, so when would that meeting be? Because we need to get this,
I'm probably going to call, I need to make some phone calls to municipal affairs regarding how some of this
So-
went down tonight. So
February
I'd
6th.
like to wait until I get
February
some
6th,
feedback on that.
Monday. It's too soon, or?
what's a good date?
We've adjourned, have we not? So where's the vote?
Any further discussion?
We'll do the meeting after.
All in favor? Contrary minded, motion passed.